Hey guys, it's Will again. Welcome back to the channel. Got another back rep for you tonight. My Viltan Eldar are back. I'm trying to get the most out of them. Play some games with them before the Orc Codex drops, because once Orcs are here, then it's going to be Orcs. Going up against Sam's Necrons tonight. Last week when I was playing him, this army was still boxes of unassembled miniatures, and it's now fully painted in the sense that it has 3 colours and a base. So yeah, army in a week should be interesting. Anyway, we're doing one of the custom tournament missions again that mix Maelstrom with Eternal War and some bonus objectives, so should make for a fun and hopefully quite close game. Anyway, let's have a look at the 1750 armies. So my Eldar force has got a battalion and a vanguard. No, I keep wanting to call it vanguard. It's not. It's outrider. It's the fast attack one. And as you can see, using biel for all of that. 2 warlocks leading my force. This one has got Jinx Protect, and this one has got Empower Innovate. So that's the one that affects to wound rolls. Then for my troops, 3 minimum units of Dire Avengers with Exarchs with the double catapult, and then backing them up I've got an elite unit of 6 Howling Banshees with the Exarch, and 2 heavy support units, Dark Reapers, 5 strong with Exarchs. This one over here has got the Tempest Launcher, and this one here has got a Reaper Launcher, and that all squeezes into 3 Wave Serpents. All of these have got the Spirit Stones and the underslung Shuriken Cannons. Then over here these have got the Turret Shuriken Cannons, and this one's got the Bright Lance and the Crystal Targeting Matrix there. Then for my Outrider, got my Farseer, who's going to be my Warlord. His Warlord trait is going to be Natural Leader, and for his Relic I'm having the Phoenix Gem to give him a chance to get back up, and he's going to have Doom and Fortune. Then I got 6 Shining Spears with an Exarch, and 2 units of 4 Windrider jet bikes with Shuriken Cannons. So a good mix of fluffy and competitive there. You know, all the Aspect Warriors really fitting into the Biel-Tarn theme, but then things like the Dark Reapers and the Shining Spears giving me that competitive edge. Anyway, let's take a look at Sam's new Necron army.
So here's my Necron army, which obviously from the box on last Saturday, it's now Friday, so in a week. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm not overly confident because I've never played it before. So starting with my battalion, I have a Mefret battalion. It's led by Overlord with Resurrection Orb, War Scythe, and he'll be my Warlord with Immortal Pride, giving me immune to morale and deny the witch on 1 spell. A Cryptek with Canoptic Cloak, just nice and fast, able to get around, give me that reanimate when and where I need it. He will also have the Veil of Darkness, and then just troops, 20 warriors, because I actually kind of like blobs of warriors, and I play orcs a lot, so I like Horde. And then 2 blobs of 10 immortals with Tesla. Obviously for my will be done if I use Will of the Pharaon from the Overlord to give both units +1 to hit, so lots of Tesla. I then have a Nefrek, I believe it's pronounced, Vanguard Outrider. I did the same thing Will did. So that's led by a Cryptek with a Chronometron and stuff light, 6 Scarab bases, 2 units of 5 Destroyers, and 5 Wraiths, and they all stock standard otherwise. So that's 1750, on to deployment.
So the mission we rolled up for tonight uses Search and Destroy deployment, so table quarters, and uses the Tactical Escalation Maelstrom missions. Doesn't actually have an Eternal War component, unlike some of the ones from this tournament pack, but you do get 3 bonus objectives that you get to choose at the start of the game, and we've both gone for Marked for Death, which is pick 3 units in your enemy army and you get 2 bonus points if you destroy them by the end of the game. Lead from the Front, which is hold an objective outside of your deployment zone with your Warlord, and finally Fire for Effect, which is kill 3 enemy units in a turn in a shooting phase, which could be tricky because the Necrons are incredibly resilient, but if anyone's going to do it, it's the Eldar, and most of the others didn't suit the way my list's set up and the opposition I'm facing. So at the moment I've got +1 to go first because I finished deploying. Sam stuck both his units of Destroyers in reserves using the Nefrek specific stratagem, and then he's got his Wraiths front and centre, with his warriors, immortals and characters behind them, mostly clustered around objective 3, and the scarabs hiding over here. They are one of my marked for death units, and I think he's just going to keep them alive to deny me that. Maybe use them to grab objectives. And then the other two units I've marked for death are the 2 destroyer units. The units he's marked are my 2 Windrider jet bike units and one other, my Shining Spears. So it's all the bikes in my case. And as you can see, I've clustered fairly centrally around this big rock to give me some line of sight denial if he goes first. Although, to be honest, he'll probably struggle to be in range with a lot of his stuff first turn, because Necrons. So this one's got Dire Avengers, Howling Banshees and the Warlock with Jinx Protect. He's also gained the relic Spirit Stone of Anathlan to give him rerolls on his psychic test, burnt a command point to do that. Next Serpent is Avengers, Reapers and a Warlock with Empower and Innovate. And then the third one is Reapers and Avengers, no Warlock. And 1 unit of jet bikes back here in case he tries to Veil of Darkness into my deployment zone. So that is pretty much us good to go. So Tactical Escalation gives us 1 objective card per turn. In the first turn, and increasing every turn up until 6 cards. So should get higher scoring as the game rolls on. Anyway, let's roll off the first turn. I got the +1 and I got a 2. And he got a 4. So Necrons are up first at this point. But we are going to see if we can seize. No, not seize. That's a 1. So here we go with the first Necron turn. So turn 1, Sam had 1 objective, which was Supremacy, so grab 3 objectives, but his real focus was on trying to get the first blood point, because that only not only does that score him a point, but it also denies me the point that I would score if he didn't get it, because of the slightly different first blood rules in this tournament. So the Wraiths burst forward as fast as they could. The rest of the army kind of hobbled up, except the Overlord decided to put My Will Be Done onto these guys, who then Veil of Darkness with the Cryptek right down to here on objective 5. His reserves stayed in reserves, and the Scarabs clustered around that objective. So that got him his 3 objectives, number 5 down here, number 1 over there, and number 3 there. And then thanks to being nice and close and Mefrit Dynasty, these guys obliterated the Jetbike squad that was there. And then the Warriors and Remaining Immortals, as well as the Staff of Light from the Cryptek. Oh no, he shot the jet bikes. But the Warriors, the Remaining Immortals, shot for this Wave Serpent and that Wave Serpent, depending on what they could see. This one took 3 wounds, and this one took just the 1. My armour was useful enough, but my Spirit Stones just did nothing, and it was even worse when the Wraiths got into combat and put 6 wounds on this Wave Serpent and tied both of them up, and did another 6 wounds, again with Serpent Shields doing nothing. I've just remembered I still need to attack back with my Wave Serpent, so I'm going to do that, but I doubt that'll do a lot. 3 attacks that that need 6s to hit and don't go through their armour is not likely to do a lot. But yeah, decent first turn for Sam. He's got his 1 point for First Blood and D3. Just the 1 point, so that's 2 points for that. Here we go with Eldar, turn 1. So, off to a shaky start there with lots of Necrons getting right up in my face from the get-go. My objective this turn is defend 4, which was going to be a bit of a nuisance. So focused on clearing out my deployment zone and getting into good position for the rest of the battle. So both the Banshees, the Avengers and the Warlock got out of this Wave Serpent, and then that moved up out of combat with the Wraiths, and this one the Warlock and the Reapers got out and it backed up out of combat with the Wraiths, so they were targetable. And over here this unit of Reapers got out of this Wave Serpent to start the shooting. Psychic phase was where it was at. Unfortunately my Farseer failed to cast Doom on the Wraiths, but he did manage to get Fortune on the Shining Spears, and my Warlocks came through for me, successfully pulling off Jinx on the Wraiths and Empower on these guys, so they had +1 to wound against a target that was at -1 in run save. shooting was actually more effective than I thought. The combination of all of this firepower down here got the Wraiths down to just a single model. There was also a command point used by my Farseer to cast Smite in addition to his other powers, and the Immortals down to just 3. And then that freed up the Dark Reapers, who hadn't shot yet, to really do some casualties on the Warriors. That squad's now at about half strength, but isn't going anywhere because his Warlord trait gives him immune to morale within 6 inches of him. So that's a pain. Down here, the Shining Spears charged in, and it didn't even take the Spears to do the job. The Exarch did it on his own, killed the last Wraith. That's my point for first strike as well. And down here, the Banshees originally would have killed all the Immortals, but just to be awkward, he burnt a command point to save that one last guy. I don't know if it'll do him any good in the long run, but the way he's smirking evilly, he's enjoying himself, so that's the main thing. And he actually came back and hit a Banshee, so fair play to him. So points-wise, only got the 1 point for First Blood, not really anywhere near Objective 4, and that's going to get discarded because this army doesn't do defend objectives particularly well. But yeah, pretty good start. Wraiths are gone, Immortals are decimated, Warriors are in a bad state, although they'll probably get back up. And then he's got 2 destroyer units to come on, so it's certainly not over yet. This turn, Sam had overwhelming firepower and no prisoners as his objectives. And yeah, if there's one unit in the game that does that quite well, it's Necron Destroyers, isn't it? So he popped down both his destroyer units, who proceeded to take out both their corresponding Dark Reaper units. Should really have positioned my Reapers less aggressively, maybe with some more protection, but I don't know if it would have made too much difference in the long run. They'd have really needed to be behind hard cover, which there isn't a lot of on this board, you know, like line of sight blocking stuff. Other than that, he resurrected a lot of Warriors in the middle, popped his Resorb, and in the end resurrected every single last one of the buggers. And down here, he also resurrected a bunch of his Immortals who fell out of combat with the Banshees. The stuff of like Cryptek killed a couple of the Banshees, and the resurrected Warriors and these Immortals both got my Will Be Done from the Overlord, which is why my once proud unit of Shining Spears is now down to an Exarch on a single wound. So that got him both of those points for overwhelming firepower and no prisoners, and took out some of my most effective units. So it's going to be a little bit of an uphill struggle here. Here we go with Eldar turn 2. So as I tried to come up with a way to counter the Warriors, I had 2 objectives: Combined Strike, which is kill something in as many phases as possible, and Secure 1, which wasn't going to happen because that's over there, and that's getting discarded this turn. So I set about trying to deal with the most pressing threats, and basically just kill, kill, kill. So the destroyers were obviously the big problem, so I clustered a lot of my shuriken fire here, and then this warlock cast Jinx onto them, and the Farseer cast Doom on them, so I was re-rolling to wound with a -1 to his save, and then this warlock put Enhance on the Banshees, who proceeded to charge the Immortals, and the one surviving Shining Spear came round the back here. Over here my shooting was alright, but his saves were very fortunate. He's looking a bit smug right now because he has 1 destroyer left alive on 2 wounds. So yeah, didn't wipe them out, and I've still got to deal with them. And that's not good, because that's still way too many destroyers, and I could be in trouble here. Also meant I didn't kill anything in the shooting phase. In the assault phase, I thought I had killed this guy with the charge of my Shining Spear Exarch, but he spent a command point for a stratagem that allowed him to get back up at the end of the phase, which, as we're reading it, means that I don't score the point. So didn't actually score anything for that, but if my Farseer is still alive at the end of the turn, because that objective is outside of my deployment zone, assuming that warrior is 3 inches away, and this guy here is not around, then I might actually get up the bonus point for lead from the front. Other than that, charge the Wave Serpent into these guys just to require them to step back next turn, because quite frankly I could do with them not shooting me. Anyway, here we go with the Necron turn, and some reanimation coming my way, I fear. Necron turn 3, and Sam drew Endless Legion, so he had to reanimate at least 10 models, as well as Slaughter the Living, which requires him to just kill units, and then Hold the Line, which he was able to do by shimmying a few units back just inside the perimeters of his deployment zone, so fair play to him. He also got Endless Legion, reanimated 7 of these guys thanks to the Cryptek and some good dice, a couple of destroyers and a warrior, so pretty good there. And then the damage really started, so the Immortals over there shot for the last surviving Shining Spear, who had these guys had backed out of combat with, and killed him pretty easily, to be honest. And then over here, these destroyers killed the Dire Avengers, and these ones killed the jet bikes. So although they weren't necessarily the strongest units left around, although the loss of the jet bikes is painful, it got him 3 points, which not only gets him Slaughter the Living, but also one of his secondaries, so he's got 3 points there. Got a couple extra points there, as well as the objectives he scored. I do grab a secondary, because at the end of my turn, my Farseer is controlling this objective, so that's at least 1 bonus, but yeah, things are looking pretty bleak for the Eldar after what I thought was a pretty strong start. Turn 3, and finally start to get some good cards. Strands of Fate for Objective 2, Scale the Skies, and Supremacy. So I pulled some of my units back here, got some Dire Avengers out of this Wave Serpent to secure this objective, and left the Banshees kind of out on their own on 5, but you know what, if 2 Banshees score that objective for me, they'll have done alright. And this Wave Serpent came over here to grab Objective 2. Shooting wasn't as effective as I'd liked. My Warlock had attempted to jinx the destroyers, but blew himself up in the process, so yay, well done there. But my Farseer did manage to doom them, so this Wave Serpent wiped them out, which then left these 2 Wave Serpents to put some hurt on these guys as well, but there's still far too many infantry on this board for my liking. Killed a few here and there. Oh, and I did mean to charge the Wave Serpent into those warriors. Oh, 4. So that's 5-inch charge in total. Yeah, we're in. Not actually expecting it to do a lot. It'll probably just take a wound, do a wound, and hold everything down. But points-wise, Scale the Skies for the destroyers, Strands of Fate, and D3 on Supremacy is a 4. So that's a total of 4 points this turn. Turn 4, and Necrons drew their absolute favourite card, Master the Warp. Good luck with that one. But he did also have Kingslayer, Scale the Skies, and Advance. And he was able to pull off Advance, pushing everybody up and out of his deployment zone. So what else did he do? He didn't have a great turn of reanimations, but still got a few models back, but notably no destroyers, which meant even with the destroyer protocol they failed to do much in the way of significant damage to that Wave Serpent, just a single wound. So that's encouraging. These Immortals were able to wipe out the Dire Avengers, which is sad but predictable. Unfortunately, they had my Will Be Done and all that Tesla goodness, and these Immortals wiped out the last 2 Banshees. Again, predictable. They were kind of sacrificed for the greater good there. Wait a minute, greater good, wrong army, but anyway. And yeah, the Wave Serpent in the middle took some wounds on the way into the charge at the back end of last turn. It did tie these warriors up, and they chose not to back out of combat, but instead just to finish it off, and just all the little hits just added up in the end. And of the 13 wounds that model has, I failed to pass a single Spirit Stone, and I haven't actually passed a single Spirit Stone save or game, so seriously doubting how good they are. But just 2 points for the Necrons this turn, discarding Master the Warp, but scoring Advance and Scale the Skies, obviously, for the Serpent. So things aren't too dire, but yeah, not a lot left to win this with. We head into the 4th Eldar turn, realising the only way I'm going to pull this is on points, so trying to get some points scored. My cards were Defend 2, Defend 6, Secure 6, and Advance. Advance was going to kind of stop me scoring 6 because it's in my deployment zone, so I used 2 command points to get another card, and it was Domination, which is even worse. So yeah, that one's getting discarded at the end of the turn. kind of a bit low on models left, but I shimmied both Wave Serpents onto the 2 objectives I needed to defend and put my Farseer and Warlock here. Against all of this, that may not be enough. In fact, it almost certainly won't be enough, but we can but hope. And this Wave Serpent had its Dire Avengers get out and shoot for the last of the destroyers. In fact, basically everything that could targeted the destroyers, left them on 1, and I then charged with the Avengers, lost 1 on the Overwatch and 1 in combat, but did put a wound on him. Unfortunately, because he's a flyer, he'll just get to move out next turn. But what I have done is I have got Secure 6 and potential for getting Defend 6 and Defend 2 next turn, depending on what these Necrons do. But yeah, right now not looking good for the Eldar. So good bunch of objectives for Sam to score this turn. Had Secure Objective 5 and Secure Objective 4, so both of those were easily done by shimmying units around. Dust and Ashes, so basically keep his Warlord alive. Well, that's going to be easy enough because I haven't really got much that can kill him that's near him. Domination he could have got if his cards and reanimations had gone just a snag better. And he's got Slay the Warlord as well, Kingslayer, which isn't going to happen. My Farseer will not go down easily. So yeah, what did he do? Well, basically everything shifted a bit this way towards my tanks. Destroyer pulled out of combat with the Avengers and proceeded to kill 2 of them, and then everything shot for the tanks, and I continued my awful rolling for my Serpent Shields. Out of 24 Serpent Shield shots I've made, sorry, not Serpent Shields, Spirit Stones, out of 24 Spirit Stone saves I've made, I've passed 1 of them. It's just frustrating. I think it's probably not worth the points. So what he has done there is scored himself a couple of points, but also stopped me securing Defend 2. But I have secured Defend 6, so that's nice. But yeah, lots and lots of Necrons, and not a lot I can do about them. 5th turn. Most objectives to score, but the least amount of models to do them with. Hidden Path for 2. Big Game Hunter, which he literally has nothing that qualifies for in his list. Kingslayer, Defend 2 and Secure 5. So Defend 2 was easy enough. Not Defend 2, sorry, I had it but I didn't score it. Hidden Path 2 was just a case of finishing off that destroyer. He lived pretty well, but the Wave Serpent actually killed him in combat in the end. Last desperate measure, but in that case it worked. Down here the desperate measures didn't. The Farseer did manage to doom and smite the unit of Immortals, but reduced them to just 1 model after all of this had shot. I then intended to charge the Wave Serpent into the Immortal and the Farseer into the Cryptek, but the Farseer failed his charge. I did kill the Immortal in combat. Well, actually I didn't, he ran away after combat, but unfortunately that Cryptek is denying me Secure 5. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I really can't see myself coming back from this. Sam's too far ahead on points and I haven't got enough to do it, but let's see if the game officially ends. No, it doesn't. So we'll play it out one more turn. Let's see what happens. So turn 6, and although Sam's definitely got the upper hand on models, when we counted up the points, he wasn't actually as far ahead as we thought. I've been sort of quietly getting a few here and there. There's only a couple of points in it. And this turn didn't quite go to plan. He had Secure Objective 3, which was easy enough to do down there, and he also had another secure one
Behind enemy lines.
Oh, behind enemy lines, which he managed to do with his Cryptek. But a couple of other things didn't really go to plan. He was going to use these warriors to shoot the Wave Serpent off that objective. Decided it would be more reliable to run them, because anything other than a 1 or a 2 he'd have got within 3 inches, and there's enough of them that obviously they would easily outweigh that. But unfortunately he rolled a 1 for his run, and no command points left to re-roll it, so they were left not only not shooting and not getting to their target either. His attempt to shoot it off with the Wave Serpent, off the objective with the Immortals wasn't really going to be enough. Did a couple of wounds, but yeah, not ideal. Down here, he moved his Cryptek round to try and score him Witch Hunter by taking out one of these guys. But he realised that there was nowhere he could charge the Warlock where the Farseer couldn't get in with a, what's that rule called? Heroic Intervention. So he he actually decided to not worry about the charge because he didn't want the fast seer finishing him off in combat. So he just stuck around there to at least score deployment zone behind enemy lines. He also discarded domination and is currently holding Dust and Ashes and Kingslayer. So not the greatest scoring turn. He's only about 3-4 points ahead of me, and I'm going to get a decent number of points this turn with a bit of luck. I have scored Defend 2 now, so that's another 2 points. And yeah, some cards to draw as we go into the 6th Eldar turn. So a mixed bag of objectives this turn. We've got Kingslayer, Secure 5, Legacy of Sorrows, Kane's Wrath, and Defend 1, and also priority orders received to hold the line, which is impossible. So yeah, Kingslayer wasn't going to happen, but I could get Legacy of Sorrows and Kane's Wrath if I killed this guy in combat, which I did. So the Warlock tried to smite him and blew his head off instead, but both my Warlocks have died to perils this game. But the Farseer put a couple of wounds with smite, another wound with shooting, and then finished off in combat. So that scored me those 2. And over here I secured 5 with the Wave Serpent. So that's a nice 3-point turn. And over here killed a couple of warriors from this squad, and the Wave Serpent here killed the Cryptek that was standing behind them. So not terrible. Another 3 points. Not going to complain about that. And it's time to see if the game carries on. 6, one last turn. So this turn, Sam's objectives were somewhat encouraging to play the long game. Assassinating Kingslayer were going to be tough to do because the easy to kill characters were gone, and my Warlord is a nightmare to kill. And Dust and Ashes he can't score to the end of the game, but it looks like he's going to. And then Defend 5, Defend 3 and Defend 2 all require hanging around a bit, although it looks like he's going to be able to do that. Killing wise, he did finish off this Wave Serpent with a big warrior blob, and when it died, the last Star Avenger went with it, so my Aspect Warrior army now has no Aspect Warriors. Other than that, I put a couple of wounds onto this Serpent, and we have one final turn to salvage something for the Eldar. So I tried to grab a few last points in my final turn with Mission Critical 5 and Master the Runes, both of which I pulled off, but these were beyond what I could achieve. And when we counted it all up, realised that those chosen objectives were actually worth 4 rather than 2, and Sam had done 2 of them, whereas I'd only done 1. And with a few other little bits, it came up at 21 to the Eldar and 29 to the Necrons. So well done, mate. A solid victory. Nice one. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a second for the post-game.
Okay, so sorry about the poor sound quality in the last couple of turns there. The mic was playing up, and I've tried to fix it as best I can with the editing software I've got, which is not exactly the most up-to-date or advanced, but yeah, so sorry about that. But I did want to keep it all in there for completeness. I considered just saying we called it at turn 5, but I thought actually a few interesting things happened in those last 2 turns, and you know, want to keep it true to what happened and not sort of say, oh yeah, we called it, when actually we played out 2 further turns. So yeah, after a pretty promising start for the Eldar, I really felt like I threw it away, and in that game I can actually pinpoint the exact decision I made that pretty much cost me the game. And that was the decision in my first turn to get my Dark Reapers out of their transport straight away. The thing was that actually I didn't need to do that. The things I needed to kill, the Immortals and very importantly the Wraiths, I was doing with what I had already available. I didn't need to get the Reapers out to do it. And killing those 11 warriors with the Reapers was pointless in the end because they were just resurrected. And what it did was it left the Reapers incredibly vulnerable to those destroyers, which not only cost me my Reapers but gave the destroyers pretty much free rein down that flank for the rest of the game, because the Reapers were my best bet for taking out the destroyers. You know, they've got high damage, high strength weapons. If I'd have kept the Reapers in there until the destroyers had showed their hand, then got out, shot up the destroyers, could have been a very, very different game. But fair play to Sam, you know, you outplayed me, simple as. You were the better player on the day, and that new Necron army is looking pretty decent. You know, it's making the most of what isn't the most powerful codex out there, but it's got some nice tricks in it, and using that stratagem to put the destroyers in reserve worked incredibly well, so well done to you, nice one. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.